Hello and namaskar. Good afternoon. Welcome to NCRT's live interactive session. This is Simran Singh and you all are watching us on PM eVidya channel number 6 to 12. Or you might also connect with us through our YouTube channel that you all are well aware of. It is NCERT official. A very warm welcome to everyone in MANODARPAN Paricharcha, a series on mental well-being and to provide psychosocial support to all our students and viewers watching this session. Well, MANODARPAN Paricharcha is a special initiative by the Ministry of Education. So in case you want to explore more about it, you can note down the website that is flashing on your screen. It is www.manodarpan.mhrd.gov.in. Apart from that, there's a national toll-free helpline. So you can note down our number for any queries, for your feedbacks or messages. So they are kindly invited at this number, that is 844-844-0632. Besides, we also have our live session running on our Facebook or Meta page, that is National Council of Educational Research and Training. So viewers, let's get started with the topic that we are going to discuss in today's MANODARPAN session. Well, it is very important and the need of the hour, because in this session we are going to discuss about fostering social and emotional development among adolescent students for a better mental health. As we all know that even during COVID times, this mental health and this COVID scenario has taken a toll on our lives and also on our physical health. So it is most important to discuss about this topic, and at the same time when we talk about adolescents, they are already confronting a lot of issues in their life. So to help them and to let them overcome from all the situations or the difficult circumstances that they are confronting, we conduct such regular sessions for all of you. And to discuss more on this subject, we are also joined by a couple of esteemed panelists. So let me introduce them to you. In this conversation, we have with us Professor Anil Kumar K. Namaskar, sir.
Yeah, namaskar. Good afternoon.
Welcome, sir. Sir is Professor of Education at RIE Mysuru. A very warm welcome. We also have with us Professor S. Rama. Namaskar, ma'am.
Namaste.
Welcome to the session. Ma'am is former Professor of Special Education and Dean of Instructions at RIE Mysuru. Then we also have with us Dr. Aarti Jagannathan. Namaskar, ma'am. Welcome to the session.
Thank you.
Ma'am is Additional Professor of Psychiatric Social Work, has joined in from NIMHANS, Bangalore. A very warm welcome. In this discussion, we are also joined by Dr. Bindu TV. Namaskar, ma'am. Welcome to the session. Ma'am is Associate Professor at Department of Education, University of Kerala. And the last panelist of our session is Dr. Thomas Kishorsa. A very warm welcome, sir. Sir is an Additional Professor of Clinical Psychology from NIMHANS, Bangalore. I welcome all our panelists in this session of MANODARPAN Paricharcha, and with that, I also welcome all our viewers. So throughout our live interaction, viewers, if you have any of the queries, any questions, any messages or feedbacks, feel free to reach out to us in the comments section of NCERT official. That is our YouTube channel. So let's begin the discussion on this topic, that is fostering social and emotional development among adolescent students for a better mental health. So quickly, I would like to invite Professor Anil Kumar. So my first question to you will be, what is the focus of the topic? Fostering social and emotional development among adolescent students for a better mental health. And how important is this topic to all our viewers?
Yeah, thank you very much, Simranji.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, students and other viewers. As Simran has put it, today's topic is fostering social and emotional development among adolescent students for a better mental health. I am here to present an overview of the session in brief. As we all know that during the past 2.5 years, we have been experiencing a lot of unpleasant events in our life. It is still continuing. The whole life activities have been changed due to COVID-19 pandemic. You, the students groups, are the most affected ones. Your daily routine has changed, your interaction and movements are restricted, and I hope you are now slowly adjusting with the situation. Is it not? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. But do you know that many of the students are unable to cope up with the situation still now also? There are some students still having certain issues and problems. the NCRT helpline always get a lot of queries related to that. I feel that mainly it is due to lack of their proper social and emotional development. As you all know that the human development consists of various dimensions of development such as physical development, cognitive development, emotional development, social development, vocational development, moral development and value development. However, much of the time, the present education system focuses more on developing the cognitive aspects of the individual, and the rest are ignored during their school days. What we feel is that the proper social and emotional development during childhood and adolescence are paramount importance to shape your individual identity. Through this, you are able to express your feelings, your emotions, and also manage it. And also, you are able to understand others' feelings so that you are able to keep a good relationship with your siblings, peers, and your parents and other members of the family. It also helps in maintaining a good mental health and also having a good quality of life, which will help you to lead a better social life and a harmonious life in the society. However, I personally get disturbed when I hear the news every year that whenever CBSE boards or even the NEET exam results comes or similar exams, whenever their results are announced, a few students take a drastic decision to end their life. How miserable it is. I feel that they are unable to see the alternatives to their problems and they are unable to control the sudden emotions. Similarly, I also, or you must have also noticed a lot of reports of violence in schools. Okay? Violence of students in classrooms and even violence against the teachers, which sometimes you must have read in newspapers or watched in media like TV, etc. Why such things are happening, particularly in our school setting? I feel we, the teachers, have not empowered you as students to manage various crisis situation in your life. I feel our educational curriculum, school curriculum, never emphasize it on these aspects. So developing effective social and emotional skills and their competencies are essential to achieve high performance in your studies and also to become a successful person in your later life. We have seen that recently persons with good soft skills are more preferred in the present work situation by many employers rather than person with very high academics or good hard skills. It has been observed that many of the students of the present generation, particularly the adolescents, boys and girls, lack various social and emotional skills. We have seen in various social situations, they do not know how to express their feeling. And sometimes the feeling they express are not suited to the situations. Many a time in family also, when we see that if anything, sorrowfulness happens, but the students are not at all, or the children are not at all bothered about that. So how to manage the feelings and also how to build good social relationship with others is a major concern for everyone. So many adolescent students are spending much of the time on social media and sometimes they are addicted to it. Once they are addicted, it is very difficult to come out from that web, and then we know that what happened to their future. So this today's discussion is focusing on some of the major socio-emotional competencies. As a part of the development, the children has to develop various skills and competencies which are necessary to foster among the students so that they are able to cope up with the various life realities. As I said earlier, social and emotional competencies are learned skills which helps a person to recognize and manage the emotions of self and others, appreciate the perspectives of others, establish good rapport and maintain good and positive relationship with others, manage conflicts, handle interpersonal relationship very constructively. So that is how the topic is very much important to you as adolescent students and viewers. So in this session, we will be focusing five major aspects or skills and competencies which are going to discuss by the other panelists. The topics are understanding self-awareness, self-management, relationship skills, social awareness, and responsible decision making. Our esteemed panelist will be deliberating in detail about each of one. So let me conclude my words and we request all the viewers to send your queries or questions so that we can answer them. Thank you, Sundar.
Thank you so much, sir, for providing us a brief overview of today's session and apprising us about the different skills that are required and also throwing more light on this particular topic, that is fostering social and emotional development among adolescent students for a better mental health. Thank you so much. Now, let's move to our next panelist. Now, Professor Rama, we have this question to you. Whenever we talk about social and emotional development, as sir rightly mentioned, that the two major competencies to be acquired by the adolescent students are, number one is self-awareness, number two is self-management. And I would request you to please explain about it more to our viewers. Yes, Professor Rama. I think there might be a technical glitch. Till then, I would like to inform all our viewers that it's our special session, that is MANODARPAN
Let
Paricharcha.
her unmute. Let her unmute.
Yeah. I hope Professor Rama, you are able to hear me.
Simran, let her unmute.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, we have her.
Good afternoon, audience, and also the panelist has already discussed the topics which we are discussing is very important about social emotional learning. It has got various competencies. One of them is self that awareness and also self competency, and also that is self management. I am going to discuss about this one in the time available. That you have to understand, this is one of the very important that is a competency in any social emotional and development. You can see that is going to be the base for various other components which we are going to discuss today. So from that point of view, so that you can see that to begin with, that we are going to have so self awareness, and then that is the base. Unless that you are in a position to understand the self and manage yourself, that you are not in a position to develop other competencies. So that now first let us try to understand what is self. We all talk about that is self, that is the self concept, self esteem, self efficacy, and so on and so forth. But what is that self? A self is nothing but the unique characteristics of the individual which distinguish oneself from others. See, we know that all of us are different. What is that different? So we share certain qualities like a human being. At the same time that we are different, that difference and which is uniqueness and which distinguishes oneself from other, we call it as a self. And it is a product of introspection and also reflexive action. What is introspection? Each and every one of us observe ourselves, our feelings, our thoughts, our actions. So in addition to some time that we use some kind of reasoning and try to find out what is the relationship between among themselves. So you can say self is the product of this introspection, the observation. It may be objective or it may be subjective. But when we say reflexive, it is more of objective. So it is not somebody told, it is what we have understood about ourselves. So this is what that you have to understand. This may be sometimes temporary behavior or character, or it may be sometimes even a permanent trait that we are having. So when we say the social emotional learning, as already pointed out, there are mainly five competencies: self-awareness, self-management, and then social awareness, relationship skills, and also responsible decision making. Each one of us are going to discuss about each competency in detail. I am going to discuss about self-awareness and self-management. So here you can see self-awareness is in the bottom. Unless that you are having an adequate self-awareness and also an objective self-awareness, you are not in a position to manage yourself. When you cannot manage yourself, you can't have a good relationship. It may be intrapersonal, that means different components of yourself, or with the individual who are surrounding us and who are important in our life. So that relationship also depends on management, depends on self-management, which in turn depends on self-awareness. All of them lead to that is the social awareness in larger system, and that ultimately leads to decision making, which we are going to do the take in different aspects of the life. Then what is that self-awareness? When we say self-awareness, you are all familiar with the term aware, becoming aware or knowing. What is that? We are going to know about our own values. So what is our personality and what are our needs, habits and emotions, strengths and weaknesses. So that means it's a collective that is entity which we are trying to understand ourselves from different aspects of the personality. It is going to answer the question who you are. When I say who you are, I may say I'm so and so. My name is something. This is my role. That I belong to this place. I speak this language. I am like this. So who you are and what is the vision of the person which will lead him to become a kind of person which he wants. What are his plans? It may be professional or in the personal development. So all of them. That means our aims, objectives, the goals, and even vision, and also the unique characteristics, everything will become part of the self. And when an individual understand it, it becomes self-awareness. So if we take our the core components, mainly we can consider them as one is the feeling aspect. What am I feeling? My emotions, what I am thinking, and what I am doing. So mainly we say that is our feelings, our actions, our thought, and sometimes we consider even our background also, background information, which we consider sometimes beta. So beta means B stands for background, E for emotions, T for thoughts, and A for actions, and that all of them put together form that is the self awareness. So what are the competencies that are there in the self awareness? So that means unless we identify the components, we are our competencies, we are not in a position to develop proper self awareness. So that is why one is that identifying the emotions, which I already told, and then self-perception, how we understand ourselves. It may be in relation to myself, my mood and my action, thought and my action, or my relation with reference to others. So that is my perception, self-confidence, and self-efficacy. That means whether that I believe in myself, in my success, or recognizing the strengths. So these are some of the skills and the competencies which will be elaborated. So when you say that is here, as already told, that emotion is very important component because that if you are becoming highly emotional, that comes in the way of our rational thinking. So that they are working in an inverse way. So that we should know that where I go wrong. So the reasoning will help us to judge our action and evaluate. So when it is there, so that the emotional self-awareness, and also it should be accurate. So all of us try to understand our emotion, but how accurate that is important, and also that is the self confidence is also very important according to Daniel Goleman, that he thinks so that it is whenever we say the self awareness or understanding the emotion, it reflects the importance of recognizing one's own feelings and how they affect one's performance. Most of the time, that in addition to our ideas or thoughts, it is the emotions that are going to influence our behavior. So that there are mainly four components of the or the elements of self-awareness. One is the self-confidence. Unless an individual is having a self-confidence, he will not have a positive outlook. We say that everybody should have a positive outlook. So that positive outlook comes from self-confidence. And that also helps us to have compassion not only with others, even among ourselves. Sometimes that we may be very hard to ourselves. Suppose that when I don't have the confidence, I try to put too much of effort, and I am trying to what I can say, deprive myself of the recreation and other kind of things. So, and also that when we are not having the confidence, we may be having anxiety and some other negative feelings also. So, self confidence helps us to have a kind of compassion to ourselves in addition to having compassion for others. And the next important component is the mindset. That means mindset is nothing but the preparedness under what kind of mental status that we are in a position to take care of our action. So that means this also helps us to understand how that our mental state, that is the state of the mind, is going to lead our behavior, and also not only that, what is making others to behave in a particular way, that under what state we will say only at that time his mode was not good, that's why he has behaved, or I was upset, that's why I behaved. The state of the mind is also important that we have to understand, and that will, if we understand our mental set or the mindset, that will help us to become more resilient. So resilient will not become painful when there is adverse situation. So they are connected with each other. And the third element is our strength. So what is the strength? Strength is the product of hard work over time. We cannot develop any strength without putting hard work. Sometimes there may be some kind of talents and also interest, which comes as an innate tendency, that is the nature, but it also require nurture. Nurture is not only from outside, we have to nurture ourselves. So we have to understand the hard work or the effort is very important, even developing the strength. So the last important one is the motivation. Here that sometimes that our motivation come from inside or sometimes comes from outside. The more that innate motivation or intrinsic motivation you have, you will be in a better position to be successful. That's why that Edward and other psychologists, they say motivation is the energy for action, and we can consider it as a fertilizer for the seeds of success. Instead of depending on others for the motivation, it is better if we depend on ourselves. Otherwise, sometimes that we may be confused. So there are various benefits of self-awareness. If I can quickly tell, that it will help us to understand what our needs, and how that we can that fulfill our needs, that how can we take the decision properly, how can we manage our emotions, that how that to lead a healthier life, that in relation to external factors, how to boost our productivity and success, enhance our ability to make positive change, improve our self esteem, and strengthen our relationship, like that. So that means we can say self-awareness that leads in all other aspects. Now I would like to tell something about self-management also, that very quickly. So what is that management? I have understood self, but it is not possible for all of us to have adequate self-awareness, or sometimes it may be subjective, and it we may not be having some kind of evidence to say whatever I'm thinking, perceiving myself is correct. So, and also that we may not be able to have a stable self. So there may be a lot of changes our understanding about emotions, thoughts, actions, etc. So what is important is management, the ability to regulate one's emotions, behavior in different situations, and to create a proper set, whether it mentally or outside, to work forward towards goals. So that means self management is essential for achieving whatever the goals that we are set. That is through regulating our emotions as well as our behavior. So it has got certain skills that we say executive function, self-regulation, stress management, self-discipline, etc. So when I say executive function, you all know about an executive. There is a person who gives the direction, but is the executive who performs it properly. So many times that we have got certain ideas, but we are not in a position to translate them into action. A student may say, I want to get up early, morning I have to study, I have to complete my home assignment, I have to prepare for my examination. He may think everything, but when it comes to morning, that he may not be in a position. So that here, when we say that in self-management or regulation, a person has to plan properly, he has to focus his attention, he has to remember the instructions given by others for improving himself, or even by reading or by thinking and other thing. And also that he should not that sometimes he has to fulfill different roles also, that how that he can prioritize those kind of roles. So our brain needs this kind of skill in order to filter distractions. Most of the time we are having distraction. It may be an external distraction, or it may be our own internal distraction, like anxiety or worry or phobia, etc., or some other thing which is competing with that. So we have to filter internally as well as externally, and we have to prioritize our task and set and achieve the goal, and control our impulses. That is very important. Whenever we get an idea or the thought, we should not jump into action. We should think about it and judge before that is exhibiting in the form of an action. And self management is also that managing our behaviors, thoughts, that everything. And as already told, it is nothing but achieving that our goals, and achieving the fitness of the goal for the goals also. And another important thing, whenever we talk about self, that is management, the individual understand his personal responsibility. So what we call internal locus of control. Many times we attribute our success or failure to outside element. It may be fate or somebody's behavior, etc. Or that is rather than we should see we are responsible for the success and failure that also helps us. So here some of the competencies, if we take in self-management, it is the trustworthiness. Our behavior should be always true, that we are to be conscious, that we should have the adaptability to different situation. We should have that mastery oriented or achievement orientation. We have to take initiative sometimes, and also we should have self-control, so that there are certain skills that which will improve our competencies. Role clarity, what we are expected to do at a particular time, we should be clear about it. Goal alignment, goal alignment from why to what and to how. So how that we have to perform. sometimes we say why we have to do, what we have to do, why strategic planning. So how to go in a step by step and systematic on logical manner, priority setting. So every day we are bombarding with different tasks, how that we can prioritize them, and having awareness, self awareness. One is that is the larger thing, and everyday basis emotional regulation and self care. So that is how to sharpen our management. Briefly I will tell, first of all you have to keep up your promises. But before promise yourself and promising ourselves, you have to think before doing that. You should not unnecessarily promise that I'm going to do like that, and not keeping it up. And as already told, align to the right, that is why, what, how, and then focus on what you can control. This is another important thing. So according to Fredman and other thing, they say I likes to ask, how are you responsible? That means what you, in what way you can respond, what is your capability. That is more important. You can't control everything. So based on your response capability, that you can do, what is the best action you can take right now. Certain things you may not be ready, so you can postpone. Be a player, not a victim. Many times, as already told, external locus of control, we think we are the victims of the circumstances, but rather that we should have the active role in any situation, and then know who you are and who you are not. Every time that we have to evaluate, and then what is the first thing, that is the priority. Meetings with yourself means you have to take some time, and then you have to introspect, you have to reflect yourself. You have to take stock, what you have done, what you have not done, how you can improve. That is what is called meeting with yourself. Nurture yourself, that is also another thing. So unless you are in a best position, you cannot do. You have to eat well, you have to take care of your physical well-being, and at least you should have minimum 7 hours of sleep. And also you have to take breaks in between, that will help you to release the stress and recharge. So practice mindfulness, so that meditation every day, some 5 to 10 minutes that you have to do. Avoid coveting in the sense that you are craving for something, and you pressurize yourself, you put pressure on yourself to achieve or get something that you should not do. Don't multitask. Nowadays everybody will have multitask. They say this is not the way that nature has created. We have to focus our attention on one at a time, and then we should be able to achieve and then proceed. Thanks for patience listening.
Thank you so much, Professor Rama. Thank you for explaining these beautiful concepts so easily to our viewers. Thanks a lot for bringing up this topic of introspection. Because during our adolescent years, it's quite common to look at others and compare ourselves. Even when I used to be in my teenage years, I used to look at other girls. And I feel how pretty they are. They have the perfect lifestyle. But I was not aware of myself. So thank you for highlighting these topics of self-management and self-awareness. Along with that, you have also provided stress on self-perception, self-confidence. That is one quality which should be there with each and every adolescent to go through the phases of life that are a bit tough. So thank you so much. Moving ahead in the discussion, when we talk particularly of socio-emotional development, now a lot of key aspects are associated with that, and one of them being fostering good relationship skills. Now what are the strategies, how could a student nurture those skills in themselves? Let's get to know more from our another panelist. Dr. Aarti, would you like to answer that?
Thank you, Simran. I think that's a very important question. बहुत महत्वपूर्ण सवाल है, और मैं उसको 2 भागों में बताना चाहूँगी. एक तो कि संबंधों का क्या महत्व है हमारे जीवन में, एंड सेकंड कि अच्छे संबंध बनाने के लिए हमें क्या क्या करना चाहिए, उसके बारे में टिप्पणियां बताऊंगी. तो अगर आप मेरे स्लाइड्स देखेंगे तो फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट वी विल टॉक अबाउट the importance of relationships and why we need to be part of good relationships, and then we go on to talk about the various strategies that we can adopt to improve our relationships with ourselves and with others. So as the slides are coming up, let's start understanding about the importance of relationships. If we move on to the next slide, we will understand that we are all social beings. तो हम एक समाज में रहते हैं, हम सामाजिक लोग हैं, और ये बहुत जरूरी है कि हम एक दूसरे से कैसे मिलें, कैसे बात करें, इसका हमें जानकारी होना बहुत जरूरी है, क्योंकि ये हम अकेले नहीं जी सकते हैं। इस जिंदगी में, इस विश्व में हमें किसी न किसी लोगों के साथ बातचीत करना है, सभी लोगों के साथ अच्छी तरह से रहना है, अगर हमें अपनी जिंदगी अच्छी तरह से बितानी है। So it's very important that to be peaceful in life, we have to first learn to be social, accept कि हमें सभी लोगों के साथ जीना है, that's a reality, and then see how we can improve our relationships. तो आगे हम अगले स्लाइड में देखेंगे, तो ये एक रिलेशनशिप सर्कल है। तो रिलेशनशिप स्टार्ट्स विथ योरसेल्फ। पहले आप मेन है रिलेशनशिप में, आपको अपने आप के साथ आप कैसे बर्ताव करते हैं, हाउ डू यू ट्रीट योरसेल्फ, हाउ डू यू रिलेट टू योरसेल्फ, becomes extremely important. The next relationship which is very important, especially हमारे भारतवर्ष में, फैमिली, हमारे परिवार का बहुत बड़ा योगदान और महत्व होता है। So how do I relate with my family? Then I go on to friends. इस उम्र में, adolescent उम्र में, आपकी उम्र में फ्रेंडशिप बहुत मायने रखता है और मायने रखना चाहिए। तो आपको फ्रेंड्स के साथ कैसे रिलेट करना चाहिए, किस तरह से पॉजिटिवली रिलेट करना चाहिए, उसके बारे में हम बात करेंगे। और उसके बाद दूसरे लोग जो बाहर के लोग हैं, अक्वेंटेंसेस, प्रोफेशनल्स जो आपको हेल्प करते हैं, टीचर्स, कॉलेज में बाहर के लोग जो हेल्प करते हैं, और स्ट्रेंजर्स। तो अगर हम एक एक करके सबको लें, तो पहले लेट्स मूव ऑन टू टॉकिंग अबाउट रिलेशनशिप विथ माई सेल्फ। सो इफ यू मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड, वी विल फर्स्ट अंडरस्टैंड दैट हमें अपने आप से कैसे बर्ताव करना चाहिए। फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट, अगर हमें खुश रहना है, इफ आई नीड टू फील हैप्पी, आई नीड टू फर्स्ट लव माई सेल्फ। आपको अपने आप से प्यार होना बहुत जरूरी है। आप अपने आप को कोसते रहेंगे, इफ यू कीप क्रिटिसाइजिंग योरसेल्फ, देन यू विल नेवर बी एबल टू मेक गुड हेल्थी रिलेशनशिप्स विद अदर्स। तो एक तकनीक है जहां आप अपना सेल्फ एस्टीम, सेल्फ कॉन्फिडेंस, एंड यू कैन स्टार्ट लविंग योरसेल्फ। एंड आई वुड say the best technique for that is writing your own diary, writing your own essay, and possibly writing an essay of how and why you should love yourself. So title ये हो सकता है कि I love myself because, और एक पूरा essay लिखिए उसके ऊपर। Please write an entire essay and write all your strengths in it. जितना हो सके please write all the good things about yourself. You will realize कि पहले 2-3 मिनट में शायद आपको थोड़ी हिचकिचाहट हो कि अरे इतना सारा लिखना है, खाली बैड थिंग्स, नेगेटिव थिंग्स आ रहे हैं कि मैंने ये नहीं किया, इतना नहीं पाया है, मम्मी डैडी को खुश नहीं कर पाए। नहीं, आप पहले ये सोचिए कि क्या क्या आपने अच्छा किया है। What all have you been able to achieve in life till now? In spite of all your challenges, in spite of all the circumstances, what have you done? And when you start writing this on a regular basis, हर हफ्ते अगर आप फिर से इसको पढ़ें, फिर से दोहराएं, फिर से लिखें कि why do I love myself and why should I love myself and I love myself because, you will realize कि आप अपने आप को रिस्पेक्ट देना ज़्यादा देंगे और आप अपने आप को ज़्यादा चाहने लगेंगे, in which case automatically your other relationships will become better. If we move ahead to the family relationships, a very important relationship in Indian system जहाँ पे family का बहुत बड़ा योगदान है, फैमिली रिचुअल्स होना बहुत जरूरी है। इफ यू नीड टू बिल्ड फैमिली रिलेशनशिप्स, फैमिली रिचुअल्स का मतलब क्या है कि पूरा दिन आपको फैमिली के साथ नहीं रहना है, पर छोटी छोटी चीजें, क्या हम डिनर साथ में कर सकते हैं, या ब्रेकफास्ट साथ में कर सकते हैं, या वॉक के लिए साथ में जा सकते हैं, या एटलीस्ट मूवीज के लिए साथ में जा सकते हैं। सो आर देयर एनी शेयर्ड एक्टिविटीज दैट यू कैन डू विद योर फैमिली टुगेदर टू इम्प्रूव फैमिली टाइम? कहावत है कि जिसके साथ आप ज्यादा समय बिताते हैं उनके साथ आपका संबंध और बेहतर होता है। So that which you spend more time on grows. So if you're going to spend time more on yourself, you will be able to improve in your self-confidence. If you're able to spend time with your family more, then your family life and your family relationships will grow. दूसरा बहुत महत्वपूर्ण चीज जो है यहाँ पे फैमिली के साथ संबंध अच्छे बनाने के लिए, कि आपको अगर कोई परेशानी हो, इफ देयर इज एनी प्रॉब्लम इन योर फैमिली लाइफ, एनीबॉडी सेज समथिंग व्हिच यू आर नॉट ओके, तो ये बहुत जरूरी है कि आप अचानक रिएक्ट ना करें. रिएक्ट करना माने अचानक हम इमोशनल होके, वी गो बैक टू द प्रीवियस स्लाइड, और वहां पे हम देखेंगे कि हम रिएक्ट करने के बजाय अगर हम रिस्पॉन्ड करें and we find out that we can आराम से सोच के इसका क्या जवाब होना चाहिए, उसके बारे में हम सोच के बताए, तो बहुत सारे हमारे झगड़े, बहुत सारे हमारे मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग्स कम हो सकते हैं. So learn to respond, think and respond and not react emotionally to any situation in the family. 80-20% ये बहुत अच्छा स्ट्रैटेजी है जो मैंने सीखा है हमारे गुरु से, कि 80% आपकी जिंदगी अगर ठीक चल रही है तो दूसरे लोगों क्या कहते हैं छोटी छोटी चीजों में, कि चलो बाहर आ जाओ या ये कपड़े पहनो, जो आपके जिंदगी पे ज्यादा बहुत महत्व नहीं पड़ता है, तो उनकी बात सुनने में उनको भी खुशी है, हमें ज्यादा फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. वो 20% जो आपका निर्णय है, जो आपकी जिंदगी है, जो आप करना चाहते हैं, इफ यू आर एबल टू स्टिक टू द स्टैंड पॉइंट्स ऑफ दैट 20% ऑफ व्हाट यू वांट टू डू, then your family and your life will come around it and say कि ठीक है हम उसको मानते हैं क्योंकि आप बाकी चीजें हमारी मान रहे हैं. तो ये 80-20 फॉर्मूला अगर आप बनाए रखें तो family relationships will be much better. And finally, as I said, spending time becomes very important. हम अभी अगले we will move on to friends and relationship with friends in the next slide, and you will observe that friendship is the most important part in your life today. And that is because आप ज्यादा समय अपने फ्रेंड्स के साथ बिताते हैं. जैसे मैंने बताया, that which you spend time on grows, और जिसके साथ आप ज्यादा समय बिताते हैं वो ज्यादा ग्रो होता है. So you spend most of your time with your friends, so your relationship with your friends are much better. However, what's important in friendship is what can you bring or what can you give them. ज्यादातर हम ये एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं कि आप हमारे फ्रेंड्स ये करें हमारे लिए, our friends should do this for us, our friends should do that for us. So can we go to any relationship or any friendship thinking what can we give in the relationship, कि हम क्या दे सकते हैं उनको, ये न सोचे कि वो हमें क्या दे. अगर हम ये सोचेंगे कि वो हमें क्या दे, तो फिर हम अगेन फिर मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग्स में चले जाएंगे. ये सोचेंगे कि चलो मैंने इतना किया है, उन्होंने नहीं किया है, सेल्फ पिटी आ जाता है. So it's always important to think about the giving part of it and less about the expectation. It's very important also to balance your family life, your friends life and all your other circles. ये important है कि अगर एक भी circle काम ठीक से न करे, for example I have a problem in my family life, then automatically मेरे friendship circle में, मेरे school circle में वो affect होता ही है. तो ये बहुत important है कि हर एक circle with relationship with myself, with my family, with my friends, with my acquaintances, हर एक circle के लिए हम काफी समय दें and give quality time to each of the circles so that there is equal balance. अगर एक ही circle में कोई परेशानी है और हम उस पे ज्यादा स्ट्रेस या फोकस दे रहे हैं, तो वो बाकी सारे सर्कल्स को अफेक्ट कर सकता है. सो बैलेंसिंग योर रिलेशनशिप टाइम within each of your circles becomes extremely important, and not focusing on any only one relationship in your life. Let no relationship in your life become the mercury of your relationship. It is not that important. And most important, at this time you will have feelings and experiences with others. You will start having possibly romantic relationships with people of the other side. और ये बहुत जरूरी हो जाता है that when you're looking at romantic relationships, that what are your career goals, what are your future goals. आपको हमेशा ये बैलेंस करके ये strengths and weaknesses देखना है कि अभी क्या ये समय ठीक है इस रिलेशनशिप में जाने के लिए आगे, या मेरे गोल्स क्या हैं आगे, मुझे आगे क्या करना है, क्या मुझे डॉक्टर बनना है, क्या मुझे आमदनी कमाना है मेरे भविष्य को सुधारने के लिए. Should I take care of my family? Should I earn resources what should I do? What is your priority in life? And accordingly, when you rally your priorities in life, जब आप अपने priorities को देखते हैं, तब आपको पता चलेगा कि क्या ये सही टाइम है ये रिलेशनशिप में अंदर जाने के लिए, कि थोड़ा रुक सकता है ताकि मैं अपने पैरों पे खड़ा हो सकता हूँ और फिर मैं रिलेशनशिप्स के बारे में सोच सकता हूँ. So that's about how you should take on relationships with respect to romantic relationships, always discussing about your future goals and then see whether it's important right now. When we move on to other relationships, acquaintances ho sakte hain, it can be strangers. The most important thing is how do you relate with them. There are various types of social skills that I would want to talk about. एक तो कि बाहर के लोगों के साथ, दूसरे लोगों के साथ कैसे बातचीत करनी चाहिए. Conversation skills are very very important. और कुछ टिप्पणियां दिए हैं मैंने. Important things like it's always important to listen first. सुनना चाहिए दूसरे लोग क्या बोलते हैं, फिर हमें बोलना चाहिए. बहुत सारे लोग बहुत उत्सुक होते हैं बात करने के लिए, but it's always important to listen to others and then talk. Start conversations. अगर दूसरे लोग बात नहीं करते हैं and you want to talk, you should initiate conversations. You should try maintaining conversations by asking relevant questions. बीच बीच में टोकना नहीं चाहिए, but ask only when required. Maintain conversations by giving factual information and also maintain by expressing feelings. So कोई भी conversation में दोनों आपके भावनाएं और सच दोनों होने चाहिए. So there should be factual information and expressing feelings should be there. You should know when to end conversation. बातचीत करते ही नहीं जाना चाहिए ताकि दूसरे लोग बोर हो जाएं. You should learn when to end the conversation, which becomes important. Conflict management skills. अगर कोई झगड़ा हो जाए, if you're angry with someone, how do you compromise? How do you negotiate? It is okay to disagree on all things. It's not important that everybody should agree to whatever you say. And it's also important that if someone has a misunderstanding, it's important to clear the air so that you don't continue with that misunderstanding and that hate feeling. If we move ahead to the next set of skills in the next slide, you will notice that we are also going to be talking about friendship skills in the next slide if we move ahead. And friendship skills become मैं ठीक नहीं हूँ इसके साथ. Asking for information, expressing unpleasant, बोलना कि नहीं मुझे ये करना ठीक नहीं लगता है, और वो बहुत important है ताकि वो जाने कि उनका limits क्या है. What is the other person's limit to force you into doing things? So assertiveness skills become important. And finally, community living skills. अगर आप कहाँ पे हैं, किसी से मिलना है, कोई strangers से मिलते हैं, फिर आपको क्या बताना चाहिए, कैसे उनसे बात करना चाहिए, कैसे न्यूट्रली बात करना चाहिए, उसके बारे में भी जानना बहुत जरूरी है. तो ये सारी चीजों को मन के रखते हुए, if you are able to implement all these things, and I would suggest you start implementing from next week or tomorrow itself, then I believe you will have better relationships with yourself, with your family, with your friends, and with everybody around. Thank you so much. Namaskar.
करने की कोशिश करेंगे. कुछ बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण मुद्दे हैं जो आपने अपनी चर्चा के माध्यम से प्रस्तुत किया. आपने बात की संबंधों के महत्व के बारे में. आजकल की रोज़मर्रा की ज़िंदगी में एक व्यक्ति जो है वो संबंध का कितना महत्व है, इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ रिलेशनशिप्स इन देयर लाइफ, वी टेंड टू फॉरगेट देम ईजिली when we move to different cities, when we move or travel for our job work. So इसका ध्यान रखना बहुत ज़रूरी है. और एक और चीज़ जो है आपने बहुत ही अच्छे तरीके से, अच्छे ढंग से आपने हमारे दर्शकों को समझाने की कोशिश की, दैट इज़ द रिलेशनशिप विद योर ओन सेल्फ. ज़्यादातर हमें ये लगता है कि जब हम बात करते हैं रिश्तों की, तो रिलेशनशिप में दो लोग होने ज़रूरी हैं, और हम भूल जाते हैं. बार बार इस बात को हमें दोहराया जाता है, याद कराया जाता है कि आपका खुद से रिश्ता किस प्रकार का होना चाहिए. जैसे हम बात करते हैं कि दूसरों के साथ तो हमारा रिश्ता अच्छा होना चाहिए, पर अपने साथ भी हमारा बर्ताव, इट हैज़ टू बी नाइस. सो थैंक यू सो मच फॉर ब्रिंगिंग अप दीज इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स, डॉक्टर आरती. Now moving forward in the discussion, when we talk about self-awareness, with self-awareness comes social awareness. Self-awareness तो है ही, उसके साथ social awareness भी कितनी ज़रूरी है. That is also one of the major competencies to be acquired by the students. So I would request Dr. Bindu to please elaborate more on this topic.
Thank you, Simran. Shall I share my screen first?
Sure. Viewers, we are watching MANODARPAN Paricharcha. In case if you have any of the queries, any questions, any feedbacks or messages, so feel free to reach out to us in the comments section of NCERT official. Towards the end of this session, we will try to take all your queries in this session itself. Yeah, Dr. Bindu, can we begin?
Yeah.
Yeah, please proceed.
Yeah. I am willing to start from where the madam stopped.
All right.
She was always talking about self-love or self-awareness. See, in order to have a love for others, we need to find whether we are loving ourselves or not. So we can move from self-love to love to others. Here comes the importance of self-awareness. See, whoever be the person living in this world is always continuously interacting with the social environment, a environment where both materialistic and living things are there. Under these living things, when the human beings are there, we need to consider the human beings in our around environment so that we can have a happy interaction with the environment. In order to interact happily with the environment, we need to understand the environment, especially the human beings in our environment. This interaction need to be concentrated on the characteristics of the environment, especially the human beings around us, and the possibilities of the responses from the human beings who are there in our social environment. So, a person who need to have a social awareness need to consider these 2 points. What are the characteristics of my social environment and how this social environment will be reacting to me when I am interacting with that social environment. So we need to understand the concept of social awareness in terms of interaction between the human beings within our environment and ourselves. I know myself, but many times I am not at all bothered about others' self. So social awareness is an important thing which is to be understood by our adolescent group, because they need to interact with their society in a positive manner and they need to have a sustainable, happy life in their future. So, what we need to think about is we need to inculcate the thought of aware of others whenever we are giving education to our children. The children are always bothered about their self, and at the same time, we need to make them aware of others. Understanding the feeling of others is very important. We are always bothered about our feeling and our comfortable zones, and we are not at all bothered about others' feelings. So, in order to have a better social awareness, we need to understand the feeling of others. If a person is getting irritated to me, what I need to do is understand why that particular person is showing irritation to me. That is, that irritation may be either cognitively aroused or emotionally aroused in their mind. So, being a socially aware person, I should understand what is the reason behind that behavior. If we are understanding that behavior and taking care of that emotional feeling that they are expressing to us, it will be leading to a better social interaction with them. As Madam said, it can be leading to a better relationship with others. Aware of the fact that my actions will affect others is another characteristics with which a social aware person should possess. Aware of the fact means another person is doing something and me also is doing something. Both will have an effect on our social environment. Whenever we are doing something for the betterment of society, we need not expect everything will be leading to the betterment. Some actions may have a negative impact on the society. From that experience, we need to understand how the negative experiences can be removed from my environment and the positive feelings and impacts can be enhanced. Understanding other people's intentions and act appropriately is also very important. What is it? Another person may have positive or negative intention when interacting with me. We, myself, also understand their intention, and with respect to the intention that they are having, I need to act appropriately. whenever I need to consider my social environment, that is human beings in my environment, I need to recognize their strength. We need to understand other person in terms of their strength and weakness. Always an interaction should lead to enhancement in the strength of others and deterioration of the weakness in others. Then only a good social relationship will be established between two people. Identifying diverse social norms, including unjust ones, is also important. We are in our society, we are seeing so many unjust things. Being a part of that society, we need to understand what social norms are violated in this particular situation, and we should have the awareness to react to that unjust things. Then only the human being will become more close to each other and ethical in their relationship. Recognizing situational demands and opportunities are also a characteristic property of social awareness. Situational demands means a person who may not be having a very good positive thinking about a particular situation, but because of that situation demand, he or she is behaving like that. That should be understood by a person having social awareness. Then only we can have a very good relationship between that people. Whatever be the awareness which we have in our mind about our society will lead to a better lifestyle in our society. Caring about and being motivated to contribute to the well-being of one's family. See, the society or the relationship starts from our family. Then if we are thinking about the well-being of our family, we will extend it to our friends. Then it will be extended to the school situation. It will again be extended to the community, again be extended to any environment with which we are interacting. Why is social awareness useful for students? We are talking about the adolescents who are having a fluctuation in their behavior, and they are always be in interaction with the society or community. The society or community may be family or school situation or the society itself. In the society, each and every person is expected to interact with others. By understanding other feeling and moving towards other persons with an empathy feeling will make the person more acceptable to the society. See, in the case of adolescence, acceptance from the society or the other people in and around them is the most positive thing in their mind. So, by improving their social skills, they can satisfy their own self. Satisfying their own self means they can satisfy others in their environment also. Those who are having high social awareness will have an idea about what all resources available in our environment. And all these resources can be properly utilized when they are getting an opportunity to utilize these resources. For example, in certain hazardous situations like flood or earthquake, if the students or the adolescent groups are know about the resources available in their environment, they can utilize them to the maximum in their situation. And when a social environment is giving them a thinking of negatives or positive, they should have the ability to interpret the thought. The cognitive thought that is proposed to them need to be interpreted very easily. In order to interpret them, they should have an awareness. Awareness will lead to the analysis of the situation, and which in turn lead to the interpretation of the social environment. And the emotional balance of the mind is also an essential quality which is to be inculcated among adolescent students. So social awareness will lead to the development of so many positive qualities among the students. And poor social awareness can result in awkward silences and hurt feelings. We know so many relations are breaking due to this lack of social awareness. Why social awareness is again useful to students? It can be considered in terms of their views and perspectives about other people. And they need to understand the needs of others so that they can help them whenever they are in need. Suppose they are traveling in a bus and an aged person is standing in the bus and they are sitting. If the person can have or the individual is having the ability to understand or empathetically view the aged person, they can give the seat to them. And in such situation, the adolescent students need to understand the need of the other people. Then only they can react to such situations. And whenever we are looking into ourselves, it will give a reflection of our behavior in a group, especially in the class. In many situations, the students are behaving as they want because of the unawareness of the others' feeling. These create some problems in the classroom situations. So, whenever a teacher wants to make students socially aware, they need to inculcate so many qualities within the children by utilizing classroom teaching learning situations along with the school environment. In the constructivistic classroom, the teachers are giving opportunity to collaborate and cooperate with other students. And so many responsibilities are given to the students in group work. These responsibilities, cooperative teaching learning procedures, collaborative learning, which will enhance the students to enhance their social awareness, which in turn enhance their better personality. Social awareness plays a significant role in the way students behave. We know in the present situation, many of the students are not behaving ethically or in a value-based manner because of the interaction with the society, which is also having lesser values. The social awareness will help the student to have a peer learning mode or a self-study learning mode, etc., which will lead to a better academic performance in their classroom teaching learning situations. Then see how we can develop social awareness among adolescent students. See, let the students involved in volunteer services. See, when a student is involving in the volunteer service, they may be able to understand the feelings of other and what need to be done in a group, etc., could be understood by the students, and they can enhance their social awareness. If the students are giving opportunity to interact with different people in having different styles of living, then they can understand the different socio-economic status of the society and difference in the achievement level, students with a different achievement level, etc. Then if the students are permitted to travel from one place to another, they can see the original life in the society, and they can understand the society well. Another strategy that we can be used in the classroom is, if the students are asked to express their own feelings to others, and at the same time they are expected to listen the experiences of others. In these experiences, the teacher can intervene properly to include both positive and negative experiences. This can be discussed in the classroom as part of their curriculum transaction, properly integrated with different subjects, and help the students to identify their own emotion in situation and discuss with others. Whenever I am feeling a particular emotion, if I am ready to share it with others, we will discuss my experience with others. I can manage it well, and this will lead to a greater cohesion for the related people, and thus we can enhance social awareness among students. And thus we need to understand how the social awareness need to be enhanced among children, and it is the duty of the teacher, and teachers are expected to conduct many research in this field in order to develop more strategies for developing social awareness among people for a sustainable, happy future students. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bindu, for apprising our viewers about the social awareness. It's a need in the current scenario and it's a need in the life of a student, especially adolescents. You have rightly highlighted the social interaction that one must practicing or also addressing the needs of the society with whatever resources are present with us. Thank you so much. Now, in this discussion, I would like to invite our last panelist, Dr. Thomas Kishorsa. Whenever we talk about social and emotional development, we have discussed about certain key elements like social awareness, self-management, with that important and responsible decision-making skills or competencies that should also be nurtured in a student. What are some of the strategies? Any suggestions from your end? Yeah. Dr. Thomas? Dr. Thomas, I would request you to please unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Technical glitch.
All right.
At the outset, thank you for inviting me to be here. I heard the previous speaker talking very eloquently about adolescence. I'm sure that they presented the importance of the adolescent phase. In case if you look at the entire developmental stages of human beings, adolescence is a stage where we see very rapid changes in various domains. That includes the physical, cognitive, emotional, social changes. So this is the stage perhaps where I accept during the first 2 years the kind of changes that we see in the human beings. No other stage will be seeing that. So perhaps this is the reason the challenges are also as many for individuals, undergoing this stage. And in case if it is carefully looked at, reflected upon, the people who are at this stage can successfully go into adult independent living. But at the same time, it's not that easy. Let us look at what are some of the qualities that we see and also challenges that we come across and link them up efficiently to how to build the skills at individual level. Number one, this is the age, anytime we talk to adolescents, they talk about a couple of things. One of that is autonomy, that, I need to be independent, do I need to take permission? Perhaps I can do these things on my own. So the first thing that we see is autonomy. And the second one, suddenly we see children in this particular age, I'm using children as a generic word, they use a lot of nice vocabulary, sometimes to the point where responsive adults such as teachers and parents would think that, is it the same child who is talking? Earlier they never used to talk about, in such as many words. And sometimes people also would doubt whether it is not from the social media as well. But certainly what we need to know is that this is the stage where we see remarkable changes in terms of their vocabulary and perspective taking as well as the thinking process. And also those who are familiar with the cognitive development of children at this age would know that we see that children's abstract thinking levels would improve. So things like morality, right, wrong, or maybe something that is not societally acceptable. These kind of things children will be able to discern and also come out with appropriate decision making. And the last one, very important for us for today's discussion, is the morality. In young children, for them, morality is something that is merely accepted or approved by the significant adults, and also anything that is not approved is not wrong. But we know that sometimes it cuts across the. So, I'm seeing some audio glitches.
Yes, sir. So, you are clearly audible.
Yeah. So this is the time, sometimes we also come across the conflicts between the adolescents as well as their significant others. That could include teachers, elders, parents, older siblings, maybe something that what they are holding as true, but the child disagrees, differs. So this is where we see the conflict. So before I go further, these 4 components I would request the listeners to keep in view. One, autonomy, and there is increased abilities for vocabulary, abstract thinking, and there is a shift in morality which they can understand from different level. However, because of these changes that I mentioned in the very beginning, the changes are happening very rapidly in physical, social, emotional, and cognitive domains. We also see some kind of impulsivity, low attention span, and also mood variations are very common. And sometimes adolescents, to cope up with these challenges, might look out for short-term energy releasing behavior, which we call risk-taking behavior. It could be substance abuse or any other kind of act or behavior that puts themselves or other people in danger. And 2 things, the next question that I want to take it up, the component is that how we can build skills. What are the skills that are necessary? We know the UNICEF and WHO concept of life skills, in which there are plethora of skills given. Again, from a mental health perspective, when we look at it, there are two competencies or two skills that are standing out. One, that is the perspective taking, what also known as cognitive flexibility. The second one is the emotional regulation, or lack of it is known as emotional dysregulation. What does that mean? For example, if I were an adolescent, my parents says that, why are you looking at the screen? What are you doing now instead of studying? Okay. So in case if I think that my parent is trying to find fault with me or trying to really impose a rule, and instant my reaction would be anger, frustration. Oh, this person is always going to talk about like this. But on the contrary, if I take a minute, and then I try to understand that perhaps they are taking interest in me and they're asking about my well-being. So let me look at what exactly is the intention. Maybe instead of getting angry, perhaps I can start with a proper answer. They saying that I just was looking at some notification, but or it could be a break. That again, I'm resuming my work. This is one example that I've taken in the context of the child and parent. So similarly, many such examples can be taken up. And emotional regulation, we need to remember, we are as much as intelligent beings, we are emotional beings. So therefore, not only just the positive emotion, even the negative emotions such as anger, anxiety, jealousy, these things are very, very common, including low mood depending on the situation. But however, the point that we need to drive to the adolescents is that it is not that they cannot experience these negative emotions, rather when they understand what exactly is the context in which it is happening, so they need to be able to see a kind of one-to-one correlation, the triggering factors that trigger some kind of emotional negative reactions in a person. And then next one, very important, is that how they're going to respond based on this emotional reaction. For example, a person may get angry but still control it and very coolly talk, and then go ahead. Or some people may realize that I'm so angry, let me not talk right now, and then let me wait for some time till I cool down and then I talk. So, but another person may think that unless I show my aggression, I will not get what I want, and let me teach a lesson to another person. So here the perspective taking would vary, and the emotional responsivity also would vary. So this is where we link as mental health professionals, both from the literature, both from our day-to-day work with the children. We understand that in case if two skills need to be picked up to understand responsible decision making, on the contrary, to avoid risk-taking behaviors, we need to look at perspective thinking as well as emotional regulation. But how do they happen? Though the question that is given to me is at individual level, but we need to understand the individual performance can only happen in the context of the social and ecological situations in which, that is the
Dr. Thomas, we have lost your audio.
At a larger level, we also see, the culture, like what is right and wrong, many things also will come there. So, but one of the biggest problems that we see when we interact with adolescents is that we try to push one simplistic solution as something right or wrong, like in case if they want to go out friends, we simply come to, bring the entire conversation to either right or wrong, or rather than explaining and entertaining them into dialogue and debate. This is where even the question of, how we address the concerns and the needs of the adolescents also will come into focus. For example, if the default mode of other people around the adolescents is more of, preaching and also instructional, the child, at this stage, now I want to bring what I told in the very beginning, that adolescents gearing up to autonomy, and they're also exploring, ready to explore more awareness in the social emotional domains. So therefore, when simplistic solution is given to them from the point of, morality and right and wrong, there is going to be some kind of friction. So first of all, I would like to, though the focus is on the individual, I would like to say sensitizing the responsible adults around the children is very, very important. That includes beyond the parents, that is the teachers, and also neighborhood and many other people. Now, what are the things that we need to develop? We can encourage adolescents to consider always any decision can be taken at the three dimensions. One, it is healthy. Second one is it is safe, and the third one it is, is it going to make me happy, so that I can contribute more either to self or to other people. For instance, if a child is contemplating of experimenting with, say, smoking, tobacco, if I say as a parent or as a teacher, don't do that, the child is not going to listen. Okay. So I might like to get down to the point that what is the need the child is feeling in indulging in this particular behavior, number one. And number two is that, like, is it I'm going to enter the with the adolescent in terms of the discussion from the point of the health as well as the safety. And the last one is that when there are several other options that can make the person feel happy, why is it important that they've taken only this particular one? So these are the three components we need to drive into when we talk about the perspective taking in adolescence. So that means we cannot give a simplistic reason about age, gender, like you cannot do because you are a boy or a girl, something like that, or morality, religion, culture. These things don't play a role there. Rather, but a larger setting, like what the cultural value, what the societal norms, these things become important. But finally, the individual need to be trained to make decisions from the dimensions of health, safety, and the well-being. And the last component, which I might take a minute, most often this decision-making process is affected because of some of the deficits that we see. One, they are unable to tolerate the uncertainty, because in case if there is no predictability, adolescents will get rattled. And to get that predictability, they indulge in various kinds of behaviors that sometimes would be quite counterproductive. And also, unable to postpone something that they want to experience as reward. So immediately they might go for something like short, immediate reward, as opposed to waiting for something which is a bigger gratifying reward. They would not like to go. And then channelizing the energies into something more meaningful. Sometimes there is a lot of bubbling of energy, and either the individual or the people around them do not know how to channelize this energy. This is where sports and many other constructive activities can come into play. And lastly, use of vocabulary, like how do we give them right appropriate amount of vocabulary, the language, so that they can express freely in a safe environment. And when we talk about vocabulary and the language, we need to know children who cannot express verbally very well are much more prone for various kinds of emotional and behavioral disorder, and more so with physical aggression, because in case if I cannot talk well and resolve a conflict, I am more likely to resolve to a kind of physical form of interaction with other people. So these are the fundamental components that we can see, ensure that we are developing in adolescence. And lastly, two things we can repeatedly encourage them. One is to reflect upon the situation, not to react. And this is where the modeling from the responsible adults is very important. And thinking over rumination. Thinking is because whenever there is a problem, it is necessary that we think to understand and generate what are the different kinds of problem solving strategies available and what we can do about it. But rumination is we are only worrying but not moving beyond the problem itself. And the last one is that all these things have to happen within socio-cultural context to which the person belongs, because sometimes it's very tough to maintain that kind of individuality. And just because autonomy needs to be encouraged, we cannot say that everything that they can do is will always be healthy and necessary that we approve, and that can also have secondary challenges from the immediate environment. How do they balance that and then take a responsible decision is very important. So with this, I come to the end of my perspective on this particular topic. And I like to take some questions in case if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Thomas, for apprising us about such important skills, that is decision-making skills that we all require in our life, and I need to understand them more about it during our adolescent years. Well, we still have 10 minutes left in this session, so we have a set of questions. So I think if our panelists allow us, could we take those questions? Okay, so the first question that we have is, how to manage the emotions during the adolescent years? We often know that sometimes the child becomes more aggressive, sometimes the child gets offended so easily. For example, when I was in my teenage years, I was in my school, I used to compare myself so much with other girls of my school, and even if I get slightly less marks than them, then I go on with this emotional trauma and everything around that. So the basic feeling that I had in me was, what will people say about me? So how to handle everything, and besides that we also have peer pressure, the burden of expectations and the responsibilities of growing up. How to tackle all this and develop our socio-emotional skills? Any panelist could answer that question.
I think,
Maybe,
yeah, Dr. Thomas Kishore can answer that
yeah.
question.
Not that I can, other people
Yeah,
also, I will
please
also like,
try.
yeah.
We
Just
can
at the
add if
same
it
time,
is.
madam, that's very nice question. The very first thing that I said, the responsible adults need to understand that there is a scope for both negative and the positive emotion, which means that a person can have anger, jealousy, sadness, everything can come up there, But the thing that we need to inculcate them in that is that what is the thing that is prompting this, number one, what is the level it is reaching, two, and what they can do about it. Because it is not that emotions happen out of blue, like without any reason. There will be, in case if we reflect, there can be certain causes. Initially, it might appear as if we are not able to think through that, but in case if we calm down, then we can understand. This is where hand holding is very important, particularly adults. When I talk about adults, responsible adults, and then among the responsible adults, the parents are very, very important. Besides the parents, the teachers are very important. We need to give a safe environment where they can express their emotion. One of the things that adults do, including sometime in case if I am not mindful, what would you? Somebody start telling that we either try to rush to give some solutions, or sometimes try to minimize it. Is it a problem? Why are you thinking like this? Then again they are discouraged too. Or sometimes three is that we think that, oh, when we were at your age, we used to have so many problems. None of these things are going to help. This is where we need to explain to them that yes, they are safe. They can safely express their things with person, number one. Number two, they are available. Just because I am ready as an adult to listen to somebody does not mean that an adolescent has to tell me automatically. Give them some time. Some children cannot express it verbally. Allow them to express it in different form. For example, it could be writing a diary, or through art and craft, or various other forms. And one more thing I would like to bring here, madam, because you asked, and it's very nice of you to recall something from your own personal experience. During the adolescent stage, two things we commonly see: that my story is completely unique. No one else will have this. My problems are unique. No one else can understand them. This is known as fable. My fable. No one else can understand. So to deconstruct this myth, what we need to do is that we need to encourage them to talk. But it's not that easy to make another person to talk. There has to be a good one-to-one relationship. We sometimes take this for granted that if I'm a parent, I automatically assume that my child trusts me to say anything. Not necessarily. So for that, we need to have a trustworthy relationship. So whether it's parents or teachers or adults. So that trustworthy relationship will prompt this adolescent to come back and say, this is what I'm feeling, can you help me? And the second one is that they also will think that sometimes they are at the center of attention. This is what we suddenly see during the adolescence. As if everybody is noticing them, everybody is trying to evaluate them negatively, that leisurely, patiently listen to them. And with that, some children overcome this problem. In some other children, we may need to talk about this contextualizing what is said, what exactly is bothering, and look out generating the solution to every problem, because every problem will have a solution, and no single solution will fit everybody. This is how we need to tell them. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for that brief description and for answering the
Yeah, I
question so
can add one
patiently.
or two points to that, and whatever he has explained. Another thing is to develop certain expression in a, creative manner. So that what happens most of the time, adolescents are even creative also, and many of them start writing poems or painting, drawing, or even writing novels and many things. So we have to give a channelize that. One is that even we can say physical activities, which is very much lacking, that I can say. If we can give an opportunity for channelizing the energy, that also will calm down. At the same time, that we can say creating some scope for any developing hobby and expression through creative way. And the next thing is that we have to understand most of the adolescents are like that. It is not under their control. They need not feel guilty, but only they should understand the consequences of that. how we do in behavioral this thing ABC. What is the consequence of my action? And self-regulation I already discussed. So how I can regulate my behavior. So those are some of the strategies also will help us. Suppose if I behave like this in a negative way, express my negative emotion so much, these are the consequences. So what I can do, that I can see, if I can control it, I will be rewarded. This can be self reward. Suppose I don't express in a negative way, rather I will express, I will reflect, hold on the impulses. I told about the impulses also. The moment I get the emotion, if I express, instead of that, I try to just keep that hold back for some time, and then maybe that our reasoning will come out. I told that there is a rivalry between emotion and reasoning, and if you control our emotion for some time, reasoning will come out through cognitive behavior modification and other thing. And catharsis also one of the important thing. And literature, bibliotherapy, read a lot of novels and other thing. Nowadays we are sitting in front of the TV and watching the, what I can say, the stories in the visual form, but rather if you can read the literature, that will also help somehow, somewhere, to control our emotions. These are some of the
Yeah.
additional points.
Thank you, ma'am. We have this
one
one.
thing I want to add
Yeah.
is, see, if we have proper peer grouping, in the same class itself, there are persons with a different emotional intelligence. We need to make a heterogeneous emotional intelligence group so that they can interact with each other and they can make others understand how emotional intelligence is managed by this particular person. So I can also manage this
Yeah.
much. This way of strategy can be adopted in the classrooms, especially from 9th standard to 12th standard, will contribute a lot to the solution of this problem, I think.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you to all the panelists for replying to the answers so patiently, and thank you for describing about different viewpoints that we have heard in this conversation. Thank you to everyone. I would like to take this moment to thank each and every one of our panelists. Thank you, Professor Anil Kumar. Big thanks to Professor Rama for the coordination, and thank you, Dr. Aarti, so much for being a part of this conversation. Thank you, Dr. Bindu, for your valuable insights, and thank you so much, Dr. Thomas, for apprising us about the minute details that deals with emotions. Thank you to all the panelists who have joined with our MANODARPAN Paricharcha session. Stay connected to NCRT. It's time to wrap up this particular session, but we have our upcoming sessions for all of you. Namaskar.
Okay.